This is brave, this is proof, this is who I'm meant to be, this is me. Kelsey nailed it. I started the broadcast. I started the broadcast.
So that thing, like agency specific TR assessments, she wrote like all of them.
All right.
Okay, now we can get started.
Oh, wait, I haven't read any of the case studies. No, it's
We're
just
just
really
going
short.
over it
We'll
right
start it right as we go.
We
want
might
to say
say
hi,
Okay, we're talking about autonomy.
Wait, did you start it?
Yeah.
We started it when we were singing.
Dude, you're gonna give that to him?
Why not?
Yeah. Okay.
He's gonna love it. Okay, in plain English, what autonomy means is respect the individual's right of choice, where there is limited capacity to protect from harm. It's like duty to, not duty to harm.
Duty of care.
No.
Duty of
Are
care.
you talking about
What do you-
risk management?
Duty of care.
No, I'm talking
That's
about
still
what is the thing
That's still
that do no harm. That's
Leave no trace.
no. That's do no harm. Okay, here's our case. We are CTRS working in a long-term care facility. A resident, Mr. Smith, does not want to participate in any activities. Mr. Smith appears bored and lonely. Mr. Smith's family wants him to be involved, but he is not interested. At the request of the resident's family, we continually invite Mr. Smith to participate in group activities. We experience feelings of discomfort for forcing/encouraging a patient's participation in an activity group when the patient is resistant to attend. Actually, this happened a lot in the place I worked.
Ooh, tell us about it.
Well, I was working in the Alzheimer's and dementia place, and so part of what we did is we had a program set up online where we could take pictures of the residents at the activity and then send them to the family. And so sometimes family members wouldn't get pictures of like their family member participating, and we'd get contacted and they'd be like, why isn't my like mom or dad there? And we'd be like, oh, well, they didn't want to participate. And they're like, well, you need to encourage them to participate. And we explained that we did and stuff. And they're like, well, we need to do more. And so we'd always continue to encourage them, but it was sometimes they just don't want to. And especially in long-term care facilities, it's easy to forget that people are like people, and that these people once like lived a life and they could choose for themselves what to do. Because a lot of the times, like when people I've noticed this, when people get older, we start to try to force them to do things, and we forget that they were like moms and dads before and like college students and stuff, and that they made choices for themselves and they still can do that. I don't know. I've just noticed that. Okay.
No, that's a good point. Like a lot of times we just think we know better because they're in this care facility.
Or like they're mentally like handicapped, or they have Alzheimer's, they can't make decisions for themselves. And sometimes they can't, but most of the time, like when it comes to activities, a lot of them can't make decisions.
I think something that really bugs me though is sometimes we treat them like children because of that. Like how we talk to them or get them to do things is how we would talk to a child, when we need to remember that they are adults and like they deserve to be treated and respected in a way that like the way we talk to them.
I think when you talk to people, like especially like Alzheimer's and dementia patients, because that's all I really know that I worked with, when you talk to them like they're adults, they're so much funnier. They're so funny.
Okay, so this assignment says to identify the behavior. So the behavior is obviously like that resistance to participate. Determine professional relevance.
Well, professional relevance is what I was talking about. Like it happens.
Yeah.
It's definitely relevant to us, because a lot of the times, like, so my supervisor would go into meetings. They would have meetings with the family of the resident that was there, and it would be like the activity director, the cook, like one of the cook staff. Like it was a person from every department. They'd sit down with the family, and the family would express like things that they felt like were going well and things that they felt like weren't. And a lot of the times, if they weren't participating, that always gets brought up in those meetings. It was almost like a tram meeting, with like everyone from all the different departments together. And like my supervisor would come back and be like, okay, we need to encourage this person more, and we'd like discuss how we can maybe do it. But ultimately, it's like up to them.
I think that this next question brings up a really good point. Differentiate personal and or professional values and ideals. I think that we, as especially like the LDS culture, we're like, everyone play, like, come on, blah, blah, blah. But like, therapeutically, like, we especially want people to get involved and to be participating in activities because it's part of their treatment. It's not as much as like, oh, this kid's not going to mutual. It's like, oh, they're not participating in their treatment. It'd be like if someone wasn't taking their medicine. And so like so in this case study, Mr. Smith is like, oh, I don't want to go. It's like saying, oh, I don't want to take my medicine. So I feel like the CTRS needs to be like, hey, do you realize that and that started to sound really sassy. So what I meant to do was like, they need to educate them and help them understand their medicine. It's what's going to help enhance the quality of their life. And I feel like a lot of times as a CTRS, we could just like fall into the trap of just being bossy and being like, no, you have to come. Oh, you don't want to come? Okay, you suck. Bye.
Bye.
So this is the point where we try to get them involved in a way that like they're willing to do it also, because they're not going to because they're not going to accept that treatment or get any better if they're not motivated to do it in the first place.
I also think it also says forcing and encouraging a patient's participation in an activity group. Maybe they don't like group activity. Like, I don't know. I feel like at that point as a CTRS, you need to be aware of like maybe what you're offering or what you're encouraging them to do isn't what they want to do.
Well, it's like at the homestead where we volunteer. Some people just rather observe than participate in the group activities. But the other things that they're willing to do, like Merdine, like she participated so much yesterday. So like she doesn't like doing the group activities, but when it was one-on-one, she was more willing to do it. So I think it's one of those things where when you do activities that sometimes you have to like figure out what's best for the client, what they're most comfortable with, and like if they're okay with group or individual, and split it up some way so it like.
Yeah, and that always goes back to the assessment, right? And like reevaluating that, like, if it's not working for Mardine to come to the preschool class every single week, they need to figure out a way to give her a one-on-one in the preschool class.
Yeah.
She did so well yesterday.
She talked to Brock and she was just like, my name's Mardine. How do you spell that? And Brock's like, I don't know. And then she talked.
How did Brock not know? He knows everything.
Well, like, she had her name tag. I was like, don't look at the name tag. It's just you hit it. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she's like, did you know my name is two different names together? It's Myrtle and something else.
Dean?
No, like.
Deanne.
It's like one of those Utah names where they use like two different names and mash them together. Anyway, it was really good for her to do it one-on-one because I think it's not as intimidating and.
So maybe that's just like what needs to happen here. It's just realizing. What are you looking at?
Trying to see if there's a timer on it. We started like 7 minutes ago.
Okay, next question. Consider.
We have to keep going.
Consider legal duties.
Okay, well, one huge thing. Why is so funny?
Nothing. We're mature college students. Carry on.
One big thing is that I've noticed, at least at the homestead, is that going out with Megan, who's the CTRS, to that Oregon, you know, like the piano, but the big one, concert once. We have to like transport the clients into the bus and then like get them there and then walk all of them in. And we ended up walking them into the wrong concert hall. And so they like half of them were all sat down, and then we realized they were in the wrong place, and so we had to walk them back into another concert hall. And so it was just like throughout all of that, like the protocol kept coming up, like, oh, we have a protocol on stairs, and like you need to help them up and down the stairs, and like blah 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 blah, and like blah 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 blah, and like all those things.
Deep.
Anyway, but that's I guess not entirely relevant to this part.
It can be. Like, what is our? I guess in a sense, it is. Like we have to, when it comes to stuff. Like, I guess since we're doing protocols and WPOs, what would be like the WPO on like inviting and encouraging patients to come, or a patient whose family has specifically signed up for CTRS services and they're not coming?
Ooh, wow, that's an interesting idea. Morgan?
Like, what would be the like, you know, I don't know what it would be. This is we're brainstorming.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what the protocol would be, but I've noticed that at least Megan in that situation, she'll go around door to door personally inviting people to come to the activities and try to get like.
But what if this family has put in either their own money or insurance money to like the care of Mr. Smith and like for CTRS services specifically? Like, what if they were paying out of pocket for him because they feel like it'll be beneficial and he still doesn't want to come?
Well, I think obviously the part of the written plan of operations would have to be autonomy and like honoring their right of choice. But at the same time, it would be like if, okay, this is gonna maybe sound weird, but it'd be like if a woman was taking birth control and like getting those medicines, but then like not willing to take the medicine, but then like gets mad when she gets pregnant. You know, like it's like hello, like we have a treatment for you. If you don't want to follow that treatment, there's gonna be like consequences. And so, like, I guess the written plan of operations would have to incorporate all of that.
I think something that comes to mind, not to get all gospel in here, but
oh, I support that.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I mean, it's like not super like doctrine or anything, but it reminds me of missionary work where you can't just like expect someone to want to join the church or participate in those activities unless they want to. So it's kind of you have to take that approach, like a missionary where like you become their friend and make them comfortable and like take little steps there until they're willing to do that.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that a missionary does is teach and invite.
Yeah, leisure education.
I can think of it as like you're a CTRS, you can educate them on what it is you actually do. On what it is you actually do, and then as you do that, they understand better, and you're also building a relationship, which I also think is a big part of missionary work, is like building a relationship with somebody. Because if you're building a relationship with this guy, he's going to trust you more and be more willing to do things.
Mm-hmm. Good doctor.
All right. Assess ethical obligations.
Well, you can't just shove them.
I have a good scenario. What if he's in a wheelchair?
Oh, so you could just roll them in.
Just roll
You're coming with me!
And move him in.
That's really interesting.
And he doesn't speak very well, so he can't express that he doesn't want to go.
That's
How do you ethically, because we had situations like that a lot.
Yeah.
How do you ethically handle that?
Well, ethically, obviously, you would treat them as though, like they can move themselves,
I mean, have you ever heard Brother Barney talk about how he hates just how random people just come up and push his wheelchair for him?
Yeah.
It's almost like that, like, so.
I did too. Sorry, guys, I got a text message on my laptop. We were all curious.
A lot of these times, like if you're in a long-term residential care facility, you have I shouldn't say. It's more common that you have a very low capacity to do things for yourself. So generally, these people have to be pushed places.
Okay, so yesterday at the homestead, I think I was with what's her name? Not Mary Lou. It was one of the residents. Are we allowed to say names? Is that okay?
I don't think so. Well, you don't think so, actually?
Well, we're not saying anything personal about. Oh, shoot.
This is going on YouTube.
Guys, we're not being ethical. Okay, so at least one of the residents.
Wait, is this a huge problem? New case study?
I don't think so. I think it's fine.
I think now that we addressed it, it's fine.
I think as long as you either call them a resident or
From now on, after this, we are calling them a resident.
we're learning. We're learning.
Don't sue us. If you do, her address is 522 North State Street.
No, it is not.
Okay, anyway, so
I wasn't the one who mentioned the names. It was her.
we were all mentioning names.
I didn't mention any names. You were the only one who mentioned.
No, you said a
Okay,
name.
we need to get back on topic so he doesn't give us back.
Actually, I think it's been 15 minutes.
Wait.
Let's just finish this.
Okay.
Ethical obligation.
So yes.
Oh, we have to determine an action too. Maybe
Quick,
let's not tell the
Quick,
story.
yesterday, I was helping a
client
resident move from one room to the other, and the ethical thing that I realized to do was I can't just Megan told her to move her to the other room, so I could have just taken her and be like, all right, we're going there, but instead I was just like, hey, I want to let you know this is what's going on, are you okay with going to the other room?
That's good. I like that. I think that our action should be trying to educate them as to why they should be coming, inviting their family to personally encourage the client because they're the ones who are paying for that treatment. So I feel like that could be effective. And then
Build a relationship with them.
and help them build relationships with others. Because there's one client at the homestead who loves going to preschool because he loves one of the preschoolers, and they're not the only ones like that, right? So that would be our action. Increase friendships, increase encouragement, increase education, honor their autonomy.
Always encourage.